Once a teaching and learning priority has been identified, part of my role is to dig deeply into the reading and research around the priority area. Some of this reading will be from primary sources, but I'll also take the time to explore what this looks like in other schools and settings to get a sense of what this can look like on the ground. This enables me to better support the implementation process as it progresses. As a school, we utilise teaching and learning teams to support the driving forwards of whole school improvement priorities. This team, whilst building their own expertise, works together to distill evidence into key principles and accompanying practices to trial. The team are then able to engage in these trials in their classrooms, and then they come back together to reflect and refine and trial again. And this way, we are ensuring that the principles capture everything we need them to, whilst also ensuring that any practices that are to become part of the way we do it here are not only evidence informed, but also based on trials in our classrooms. Not only this, but because the teaching and learning team has representation from across different faculties, we can ensure that any practices are viewed through a subject lens in order to avoid maladaptive practice. Through our ongoing CPD programme, we've built a foundation of knowledge across our teams about how learning happens, utilising, for example, Professor Dan Willingham's simple model of memory. This means that when we're exploring deeper knowledge and understanding linked to any identified areas for development, it can be hooked onto what staff already know, and this enables really powerful pedagogical conversations across our school community. So, by building up the layers of detail from reading and research to principles and their purposes to classroom practices shaped through that subject lens, we are more likely to ensure that the approaches we take have the impact we desire. It's crucial to emphasise the core components or active ingredients in order that we don't end up with lethal mutations. For example, retrieval practice needs to be effortful, and therefore students should not be looking in their books for the answers. All students need that opportunity for generative thinking. We also emphasise the various forms that retrieval practice can take, moving beyond the idea of just having a quiz at the beginning of a lesson. This approach respects the diverse requirements of different subjects. By considering and providing models of varied practices, staff are better able to consider what this might look like, not only in their subject, but also in relation to different elements of their curriculum content. Staff can then weigh up the relative affordances of different approaches. So, when do we want to utilise a quiz? When do we want to enable something more elaborative? When do we want to use a mind map or a brain dump or a flashcard? And because we have built expertise within each faculty, and because we have built up from reading and research to principles, purposes, and then practices, decisions are better informed. We can't just take shortcuts to specific retrieval strategies. The importance of collaboration and co-construction cannot be underestimated. So, staff beyond that initial teaching and learning team need to have the opportunity to reflect on how they are feeding these approaches into their lessons, either through collaborative planning time or through their coaching meetings, meaning that our different strands of CPD support and strengthen one another. To share best practice further into the implementation cycle, we utilise strategies such as 15-minute forums where teachers share their effective strategies and discuss the underlying reasons behind them. But we're also, over time, building up a bank of video resources and a bank of video models so that different teachers can see what this looks like in different subjects and use that to reflect upon their own practice.